go ahead and do our lesson today. I'm on my camera roll, and I'm going to be reading, standing reading from A Course in Miracles. So let's go to a page. Now remember, this book is for someone who is in a sane mind, okay? Sane. Not sinful spacing, okay? The unreality of sin. The attraction of guilt is found in sin, not error. Sin will be repeated because of this attraction. Fear can become so acute that the sin is denied the acting out. But while the guilt remains attractive, the mind will suffer and not let go of the idea of sin. For guilt still calls to it that the mind hears it and yearns for it, making itself a willing captive to its sick appeal. Sin is an idea of evil that cannot be corrected and will be forever desirable. As an essential part of what the ego thinks you are always wanted. Now, the people who are the sinners, who are just horror, they don't have any guilt around it. That's the difference between you and them. And if you don't have any guilt around sin that you're up to, then you got problems. And that's the first stage to becoming a demon. And only an avenger with a mind unlike their own could stamp it out through fear. The ego does not think it possible that love, not fear, is really called upon by sin and always answers. For the ego brings sin to fear, demanding punishment, yet punishment is but another form of guilt's protection. For what is deserving punishment must have been really done. Punishment is always the great preserver of sin, treating it with respect and honoring its enormity. What must be punished must be true, and what is true must be eternal and will be repeated endlessly. For what you think is real, you want and will not let it go. An error, on the other hand, is not attractive. What you see clearly is a mistake you want corrected. Sometimes a sin can be repeated over and over with obviously distressing results, but without the loss of its appeal. And suddenly you change its status from a sin to a mistake. Now you will not repeat it. So do you see how when you sin, it's a repetitive vicious circle? When you realize the sin, it becomes the mistake. However, they do not think they're doing anything wrong. You will merely stop and let it go unless the guilt remains. For then you will but change the form of sin, granting that it was an error, but keeping it uncorrectable. This is not really a change in your perception, for it is sin that calls for punishment, not error. The Holy Spirit cannot punish sin. Mistakes, he recognized and would correct them all as God entrusted him to do. But sin, he knows not, nor can he recognize mistake, but cannot be corrected. For a mistake which cannot be corrected is meaningless to him. Mistakes are for correction and they call for nothing else. What calls for punishment must call for nothing. Every mistake must be a call for love. What then is sin? What could it be but a mistake you would keep hidden, a call for help that you would keep unheard and thus unanswered? In time, the Holy Spirit clearly sees the Son of God can make mistakes. On this you share his vision, yet you do not share his recognition of the difference between time and eternity. And when correction is completed, time is eternity. Time is like a downward spiral which seems to travel down from a long unbroken line along another plane, but which in no way breaks the line or interferes with its smooth continuousness. Along the spiral, it seems as if the line must have been broken, yet at the line, its wholeness is apparent. Everything seen from the spiral is misperceived, but as you approach the line, you realize that it is not affected by the drop into another plane at all. Yet from the plane, the line seems discontinuous, and this is but an error in perception which can be easily corrected in the mind, although the body's eyes will see no change. The eyes see many things that mind corrects, and you respond not to the eye's illusions, but to the mind's corrections. You see the line is broken, and you see the line as broken, and as you shift to different aspects of the spiral, the line looks different. Yet in your mind is one who knows it is unbroken and forever changeless. This one can teach you how to look on time differently and see beyond, but not while you believe in sin. In error, yes, for this can be corrected by the mind. But sin is the belief that your perception is unchangeable and that the mind must accept as true what it is told through it. If it does not obey, the mind is judged insane. The only power which could change perception is thus kept impotent, held to the body by the fear of changed perception, which its teacher, who is one with it, would bring. When you are tempted to believe that sin is real, remember this: if sin is real, both God and you are not. If creation is extension, the Creator must be extended himself, and it is impossible that what is part of him is totally unlike the rest. Get that one. So it's like that he's saying in a sane mind, y'all. Meaning there is no sin, but there is sin. That is the way they control you. This is for a good person. If sin is real, God must be at war with himself. He must be split and torn between good and evil. He's not split, however, evil is in the space. You see the difference? It's separate. This is for somebody who's separate. This is somebody who's with God. There's somebody who's separate from God. They are worshiping a devil or a Beelzebub. Partly sane and partially insane, for he must have created what wills to destroy him and has the power to do so. It is not easier to believe that you have been mistaken than to believe in this. While you believe that your reality of your brothers is bounded by a body, you will believe in sin. While you believe that bodies can unite, you will find guilt attractive and believe that sin is precious. I have to keep reminding you that they are not working with God. Monavan is not working with God. Neither is Maha. Neither is Reese Witherspoon. For the belief that bodies, neither are those trash heaps that stand beside Dan Blazerian. For the belief that bodies limit mind leads to a perception of the world in which the proof of separation seems to be everywhere. However, to your face, they will occur as if they're good people. That's how horrible this shit is. And God and his creation seem to be split apart and overthrown. For sin would prove that what God created holy could not prevail against it nor remain itself before the power of sin. Sin is perceived as mightier than God, before which God himself must bow and offer his creation to its conqueror. They're trying to conquer God. You get that, right? God is going to prevail. Is this humility or madness? If sin were real, it would be forever beyond the hope of healing. For there would be a power beyond God's capable of making another will which could attack his will and overcome it and give his son a will apart from his and stronger. And each part of God's fragmented creation would have a different will opposed to his and in internal opposition to him and to each other. Your holy relationship has at its purpose now the goal of proving this impossible. Heaven has smiled upon it, and the belief in sin has been uprooted in its smile of love. You see it still because you do not realize that its foundation has gone. Its source has been removed, and so it can be cherished but a little while before it vanishes. Only the habit of looking for it still remains. And yet you look with heaven's smile upon your lips and heaven's blessing on your sight. You will see it long. For in this new perception, the mind corrects it when it seems to be seen and it becomes invisible, and errors are quickly recognized and quickly given to correction to be healed, not hidden. And an example of error in sinning is not standing up for God. Meaning when the siren comes to you, Adam, and abuses you and you don't say anything, then that's an error on your part. Because you're making the behavior as an appropriate behavior. And that goes for Gary Vaynerchuk when he's standing in a room of 4 chicks in trashy outfits. And he doesn't say anything when he's the clearing and the leader of the space. Meaning you're not doing God's work. However, you're claiming that you're teaching God's work. So you're technically separated from God. And that's because it's gotten like totally out of hand. You will be healed of sin and its ravages the instant that you give it no power over each other. And you will help each other overcome mistakes by joyously releasing one another from the belief in sin. So that's an example of sinless. Because you didn't see the truth. It's a blind spot. And in a holy instant is the moment that you realize that it was a mistake. In the holy instant, you will see the smile of heaven shining on both of you, and you will shine upon each other in glad acknowledgement of the grace that has been given to you. That's God. For sin will not prevail against a union heaven has smiled upon. Your perception was healed in the holy instant. Heaven gave you. Forget what you have seen and raise your eyes in faith to what you now can see. The barriers to heaven will disappear before your holy sight. For you who were sightless have been given vision, and you can see, not now for what has been removed, but for the glory that has been restored for you to see. Look upon your Redeemer and behold what he would show you in each other, and let not sin arise again to blind your eyes. For sin would keep you separate, but your Redeemer would have you look upon each other as yourselves. Your relationship is now a temple of healing, a place where all the weary ones can come and find rest. Here is a rest that waits for all after the journey. And the hero's journey is these things. And it is brought near to all by your relationship. As the peace extends from deep inside yourself to embrace all the sonship and give it rest, it will encounter many obstacles. Some of them you will try to impose. Others will seem to arise from elsewhere, from your brothers and from various aspects of the world outside. Yet peace will gently cover them, extending past completely unhindered. The extension of the Holy Spirit's purpose from the relationship to others to bring them gently in has already begun. This is the way in which he will bring means and goal in line. The peace he laid deep within both of you will quietly extend to every aspect of your lives, surrounding both of you with glowing happiness and the calm awareness of complete protection. And you will carry its message of love and safety and freedom to everyone who draws nigh unto your temple where healing awaits for you. So do you hear that? Anyone? And you will carry its message of love and safety, meaning I'm going to protect myself, and freedom to everyone who draws nigh unto your temple. I'm going to protect myself, and I'm keeping my freedom because I'm protecting people. You will not wait to give him his, for you will call to him, and he will answer you, recognizing in your call the call of God. And you will draw him in and give him rest, and it was given to you. And this will you do. Yet the peace which already lies deeply within must first expand and flow across the obstacles you placed before it. This will you do, for nothing undertaken with the Holy Spirit remains unfinished. You can indeed be sure of nothing you see outside, but of this you can be sure. The Holy Spirit asks that you offer him a resting place where you will rest in him. He answered you and entered your relationship. Would you not now return his graciousness and enter into a relationship with God? The Holy Spirit is the message that God is there. For it is he who offered your relationship the gift of holiness, without which it would have been forever impossible to appreciate each other. So you having a holy relationship with God allows holy relationships with humanity for those who are deserving of it. The gratitude you owe to him, he asks, but that you receive for him. And when you look with gentle graciousness upon each other, you are beholding him. For you are looking where he is and not apart from him. You cannot see the Holy Spirit, but you can see your brothers truly, and the light in them will show you all that you need to see. See the truth, but see the truth. When the peace in you has been extended, encompass everyone, the Holy Spirit's function here will be accomplished. What need is there for seeing then? When God has taken the last step himself, the Holy Spirit will gather all your thanks and gratitude which you have offered him and lay them gently before his Creator in the name of his most holy Son, and the Father will accept them in his name. What need is there of seeing in the presence of his gratitude? So God is thankful to you. He's so generous. He's so awesome. You need to know that he is teaching to the community of those that are not separate from God. There's a chapter in this book. Remember, I read the book. The holy instant is forgiveness for yourself, but you cannot be separate from God. And it looks a little like a journey of like this. Oh God, I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. Oh my God, I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. Oh God. I literally would sit on the floor and accidentally think that I was creating. And I was literally in a weird place of guilt over something as silly as that. But that's also the devil talking. But you have to empower yourself. I feel so guilty that I hurt their feelings. And then me and God would spend 30 minutes talking about, actually it was days, talking about how guilty I felt. It was like ridiculous, God. It was so stupid. They were trying to take me out. So if you can't experience guilt in what is morality, then you haven't done the work, because you don't care about people. You only care about yourself and what you think you're dealing with God, which that is not God. Anyway, back to this. So it's like, this is a work for people who are with God in togetherness. So there's the separation from God. The only holy relationship is with God. That's how you get to the point of, I don't care what people think. I only want to be with God. And those dirty thoughts in your mind, you don't really, you might get tempted, which is who? The devil, Beelzebub. See, the Monavans and the Mahas, they go to the devil. However, they claim they're good people. And they're looking at this book going, yeah, right. They're separate from God. They don't believe in God. And I'm going to tell you right now, they believe in Allah. And Allah is evil. Now, the tricky thing about Allah is that Allah occurs as God. So does Ramtha. Ramtha is not a good one. He's horrible. There's one creator. See, is that it? They're here actually. So they're trying to, so it's frustrating. There's like all kinds of different things that God's trying to put into our place for us to learn how to be with each other. But there's always the devil. So some people are actually really talking to God. However, they call him Allah. And then there's some other things that are going on too that I think I've talked to you about, which is the planetary gods. Because on the other side, there's another dimension of even higher beings, I think, right? Is that right? I don't know. I get confused. We're still working through some things. I mean, hello, I'm talking to empty space. Because I've met some, like Seth. I'm not supposed to tell you about this part. I'm sorry. It's really interesting, though. We're supposed to just stick with the book. Okay, I will. You should read Seth Speaks too, though, because it's like really good documentation and stuff. So, anywho, I want to tell God that I absolutely love you, and I love hanging out with you, and you're so much fun, and you're so amazing, and then everybody else is awesome. Just remember when I went through the phase of Charlie, Charlie, God, and who was the other one? I think it was Seth. I went through those phases. Charlie, God, and Seth. That's what we went through, remember? Anywho, all right, bye.